Shabbat Shalom. We are continuing our reading through Baruk. We are in 2nd Baruk, chapter 54, and we are going to read all the way through to 68. And I besought El Elohim and said, You alone, O Yahweh, know of aforetime the deep things of the world and the things which befall in their times. You bring about your word, and against the works of the inhabitants of the earth you hasten the beginnings of the times and the end of the seasons. You alone know. You, for whom nothing is too hard, but who does everything easily by a nod. You, to whom the depths come as the heights, and whose word the beginnings of the ages serve. You, who reveal to those who fear you what is prepared for them, that thenceforth they may be comforted. You show great acts to those who know not. You break up the enclosure of those who are ignorant, and light up what is dark, and reveal what is hidden to the pure, who in faith have submitted themselves to you and your Torah. You have shown to your servant this vision. Reveal to me also its interpretation. For I know that as regards those things wherein I besought you, I have received a response, and as regard what I besought you, did reveal to me with what voice I should praise you, and from what members I should cause praises and hallelujahs to ascend to you. For if my members were mouths, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give you the meat of praise, nor laud you as is befitting, nor could I recount your praise, nor tell the glory of your beauty. For what am I amongst men, or why am I reckoned amongst those who are more excellent than I, that I have heard all of these marvelous things from El Elyon, and numberless promises from him who created me? Blessed be my mother among those that bear, and praised among women be she that bore me. For I will not be silent in praising El Elohim, and with the voice of praise I will recount his marvelous deeds. For who does like unto your marvelous deeds, O Elohim? Or who comprehends your deep thought of life? For with your counsel you do govern all the creatures which your right hand has created, and you have established every fountain of light beside you, and the treasures of wisdom beneath your throne you have prepared. And justly do they perish who have not loved your Torah, and the torment of judgment shall await those who have not submitted themselves to your power. For through Adam first sinned, and brought untimely death upon all. Yet of those who were born from him, each one of them has prepared for his own soul torment to come. And again, each one of them has chosen for himself glories to come. For assuredly he who believes will receive reward. But now, as for you, you wicked that now are, turn you to destruction, because you shall speedily be visited, in that formerly you rejected the understanding of El Elyon, but for his works have not taught you, nor has the skill of his creation, which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only of his own soul, but each of us has been the Adam of his own soul. But you, O Yahweh, do expound to me regarding those things which you have revealed to me, and inform me regarding that which I besought you. For at the consummation of the world, vengeance shall be taken upon those who have done wickedness according to their wickedness, and you will glorify the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst your own you rule, and those who sin you blot out from amongst your own. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking the words of this prayer, that I sat there under a tree, that I might rest in the shade of the branches. And I wondered and was astonished and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness which sinners who are upon the earth have rejected, and regarding the great torment which they have despised, though they knew that they should be tormented because of the sin they had committed. And when I was pondering on these things and the like, lo, the angel Ramiel, who presides over true visions, was sent to me. And he said unto me, Why does your heart trouble you, Baruk? And why does your thought disturb you? For if owing to the report which you have only heard of judgment you are so moved, what will you be when you see it manifestly with your eyes? And if, with the expectation wherewith you do expect the day of El Elohim, you are so overcome, what will you be when you shall come to its advent? And if at the word of announcement of the torment of those who have done foolishly, you are so wholly distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvelous things? And if you have heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming and are grieved, what will you be when you shall behold what the Majesty will reveal, which shall convict these and cause those to rejoice? Nevertheless, because you have sought El Elyon to reveal to you the interpretation of the vision which you have seen, I will be sent to tell you. And El Elohim has assuredly made known to you the methods of the times that have passed, and of those that are destined to pass in this world from the beginning of its creation, even unto its consummation, of those things which are deceit, and of those which are in truth. For as you did see a great cloud which ascended from the sea, and went and covered the earth, this is the duration of the world which El Elohim made when he took counsel to make the world. And it came to pass, when the word had gone forth from his presence, that the duration of the world had come into being in a small degree, and was established according to the multitude of intelligence of him who sent it. And as you did previously see on the summit of the cloud black waters which descended previously on the earth, this is the transgression wherewith Adam, the first man, transgressed. For since, when he transgressed, untimely death came into being, grief was named, and anguish was prepared, and pain was created, and trouble consummated, and disease began to be established, and Sheol kept demanding that it be renewed with blood, and the begetting of children was brought about, and the passion of parents produced, and the greatness of man was humiliated, and goodness languished. What, therefore, could be blacker or darker than these things? This is the beginning of the black waters which you have seen. And from these black waters again were black derived, and the darkness of darkness was produced. For he became a danger to his own soul, even to the angels became he a danger. For moreover, at the time when he was created, they enjoyed liberty, and some of them descended and mingled with the women. And then those who did so were tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of angels, which there is no number, restrained themselves. And those who dwelt on the earth perished together with them through the waters of the deluge. These are the black first waters. And after these waters you did see bright waters. This is the fount of Abraham, also his generations and advent of his son, and his son's son, and of those like them. Because at that time the unwritten Torah was named amongst them, and the works of the commandments were then fulfilled, and belief in the coming judgment was then generated, and hope of the world that was to be renewed was then built up, and the promise of the life that should come hereafter was implanted. These are the bright waters which you have seen, and the black third waters which you have seen. These are the mingling of all the sins which the nations afterwards wrought after the death of those righteous men, and the wickedness of the land of Mitzrayim, wherein they did wickedly in the service wherewith they made their sons to serve. Nevertheless, these also perished at last. And the bright fourth waters which you have seen are the advent of Moshe and Aaron and Miriam and Yahusha, the son of Nun, and Caleb, and of all those like them. For at that time the lamp of the eternal Torah shone on all of those who sat in darkness, which announced to them that believe the promise of their reward, and to them that deny the torment of fire which is reserved for them. But also the heavens at that time were shaken from their place, and those who were under the throne of El Elohim were perturbed, when he was taking Moshe unto himself, for he showed him many admonitions together with the principles of the Torah and the consummation of the times, as also to you, and likewise the pattern of Zion and its measures, in the pattern of which the sanctuary of the present time was to be made. And then also he shown him the measures of the fire, also the depths of the abyss, and the weight of the winds, and the number of the drops of rain, and the suppression of anger, and the multitude of long suffering, and the truth of judgment, and the root of wisdom, and the riches of understanding, and the fount of knowledge, and the height of the air, and the greatness of paradise, and the consummation of the ages, and the beginning of the day of judgment, and the number of offerings, and the earths which have not yet come, and the mouth of Sheol, and the station of vengeance, and the place of faith, and the region of hope, and the likeness of future torment, and the multitude of innumerable angels, and the flaming hosts, and the splendor of the lightning, and the voice of the thunders, and the orders of the chiefs of the angels, and the treasuries of light, and the changes of the times, and the investigations of the Torah. These are the bright fourth waters which you have seen. The black fifth waters which you have seen raining are the works which the Emerim wrought, and the spells of their incantations which they wrought, and the wickedness of their mysteries, and the mingling of their pollution. But even Yasharal was then polluted by sins in the days of judges, though they saw many signs which were from him who made them. And the bright sixth waters which you did see, this is the time in which David and Shalimah were born. And there was at that time the building of Zion, and the dedication of the sanctuary, and the shedding of much blood of the nations that sinned then, and many offerings which were offered then in the dedication of the sanctuary. And peace and tranquility existed at that time, and wisdom was heard in the assembly, and the riches of understanding were magnified in the assemblies, and the holy feasts were fulfilled in blessedness and in much joy. And the judgment of the rulers was then seen to be without guile, and the righteousness of the precepts of El Elohim was accomplished with truth. And the land, which was then beloved by Yahweh, and because of its inhabitants sinned not, it was glorified beyond all lands, and the city Zion ruled then over all lands and regions. These are the bright waters which you have seen, and the black seventh waters which you have seen. This is the perversion brought about by the counsel of Jeroboam, who took counsel to make two calves of gold, and all the iniquities which kings who were after him iniquitously wrought, and the curse of Jezebel, and the worship of idols which Yasharal practiced at the time, and withholding of rain, and the famines which occurred until women ate the fruit of their wombs, and the time of their captivity which came upon the 9 tribes and a half, because they were in many sins. And Shalmaneser, the king of Ashur, came and led them away captive. But regarding the other nations, it were tedious to tell how they always wrought impiety and wickedness, and never wrought righteousness. These are the black seventh waters which you have seen, and the bright eighth waters which you have seen. This is the rectitude and uprightness of Yechizkiyahu, king of Yehuda, and the grace of Elohim which came upon them. For when Sennacherib was stirred up in order that he may perish, and his wrath troubled him in order that he may thereby perish, for the multitude also of the nations which were with him. When moreover Yechizkiyahu the king heard those things which the king of Ashur was devising, that he was coming to seize him and destroy his people, the 2.5 tribes which remained, nay, more, he wished to overthrow Zion also. Then Yechizkiyahu trusted in his works and had hope in his righteousness, and spoke with Elohim and said, Behold, for lo, Sennacherib is prepared to destroy us, and he will be boastful and uplifted when he has destroyed Zion. And Elohim heard him, for Yechizkiyahu was wise, and he had respect unto his prayer, because he was righteous. And thereupon Elohim commanded Ramiel, his angel who speaks with you. And I went forth and destroyed their multitude, the number of whose chiefs only was 185,000. And each of them had an equal number at his command. And at that time I burned their bodies within, but their raiment and arms I preserved outwardly, in order that the still more wonderful deeds of Elohim might appear, and that thereby his name might be spoken of throughout the whole earth. And Zion was saved, and Jerusalem delivered. Yasharal also was freed from tribulation, and all those who were in the Holy Land rejoiced, and the name of Elohim was glorified, so that it was spoken of. These are the bright waters which you have seen, and the black ninth waters which you have seen. This is all the wickedness which was in the days of Manasseh, the son of Yechizkiyahu. For he wrought much impiety, and he slew the righteous, and he perverted judgment, and he shed the blood of the innocent, and wedded women he violently polluted. And he overturned the altars, and destroyed their offerings, and drove forth their priests, lest they should minister in the sanctuary. And he made an image of 5 faces. 4 of them looked to the 4 winds, and the 5th on the summit of the image was an adversary to the zeal of Elohim. And then wrath went forth from the presence of Elohim to the intent that Zion should be rooted out, as also it befell in your days. But also against the 2.5 tribes went forth a decree that they should also be led away captive, as you have now seen. And to such a degree did the impiety of Manasseh increase, that it removed the praise of El Elyon from the sanctuary. On this account, Manasseh was at that time named the impious, and finally his abode was in the fire. For though his prayer was heard with El Elyon, finally, when he was cast into the brazen horse, and the brazen horse was melted, It served as a sign unto him for the hour. For he had not lived perfectly, for he was not worthy, but that thenceforth he might know by whom finally he should be tormented. For he who is able to benefit is also able to torment. Thus, moreover, did Manasseh act impiously, and thought that in his time El Elohim would not inquire into these things. These are the black ninth waters which you have seen, and the bright tenth waters which you have seen. This is the purity of the generations of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehuda, who was the only one at the time who submitted himself to El Elohim with all his heart and with all his soul. And he cleansed the land from idols, and sanctified all the vessels which had been polluted, and restored the offerings to the altar, and raised the horn of the holy, and exalted the righteous, and honored all that were wise and understanding, and brought back the priests to their ministry, and destroyed and removed the magicians and enchanters and necromancers from the land. And not only did he slay the impious that were living, but they also took from the sepulchres the bones of the dead and burned them with fire. And the feasts and the Shabbats he established in their sanctuary, and their polluted ones he burnt in the fire. And the lying prophets which deceived the people, these also he burnt in the fire. And the people who listened to them when they were living, he cast them into the brook Kidron, and heaped stones upon them. And he was zealous for the zeal of El Elohim with all his soul, and he alone was firm in the Torah at that time, so that he left none that was uncircumcised or wrought impiety in all the land, all the days of his life. Therefore he shall receive an eternal reward, and he shall be glorified with El Elohim beyond many at a later time. For on his account, and on account of those who are like him, were the honorable glories, of which you were told before, created and prepared. These are the bright waters which you have seen, and the black 11th waters which you have seen. This is the calamity which is now befalling Zion. Do you think that there is no anguish to the angels in the presence of El Elohim, that Zion was so delivered up, and that, lo, the other nations boast in their hearts, and assemble before their idols, and say, She is trodden down, who oft times trod down, and she has been reduced to servitude, who reduced others. Do you think that in these things El Elyon rejoices, or that his name is glorified? But how will it serve towards his righteous judgment? Yet after these things shall the dispersed among the other nations be taken hold of by tribulation, and in shame shall they dwell in every place. Because so far as Zion is delivered up and Jerusalem laid waste, shall idols prosper in the cities of their nations, and the vapor of the smoke of the incense of the righteousness which is by the Torah is extinguished in Zion. And in the region of Zion in every place, lo, there is the smoke of impiety. But the king of Babel will arise, who has now destroyed Zion, and he will boast over the people, and he will speak great things in his heart in the presence of El Elyon. But he also shall fall at last. These are the black waters, and the bright 12th waters which you have seen. This is the word. For after these things a time will come when your people shall fall into distress, so that they shall all run the risk and perish together. Nevertheless, they will be saved, and their enemies will fall in their presence, and they will have in due time much joy. And at that time, after a little interval, Zion will again be built, and its offerings will again be restored, and the priests will return to their ministry, and also the other nations will come to glorify it. Nevertheless, not fully as in the beginning, But it will come to pass after these things that there will be the fall of many nations. These are the bright waters which you have seen.